what he does defensively for those guys is pretty incredible too. I'm not a statistics guy or analytics, but I can tell you right now, whenever he's on the floor, they're a much better team. But like I said, I want him to get right because we want to play against who I call the MVP.
The NBA MVP was officially announced. And by the way, I have a question. What's the point of having a NBA award show if the NBA MVP and each and every single award is going to get leaked out prior to the award ceremony anyway? I mean, wouldn't it just be better to do what they used to do, where they would celebrate the NBA MVP during a home playoff game as opposed to just having some awards ceremony? But that's besides the point. There's a lot of people that aren't happy with the winner of the NBA MVP, and I figured this is something that deserves to be broken down, because there's one thing that is for sure, and that's the fact that the NBA MVP isn't being judged the way it used to be, and that at the same time is a good thing and a bad thing. Now, before we get to the content, just want to let you guys know that I have a Discord community that you could join so you can complain about how incorrect my takes are straight to my face. We're also giving away $500 to a subscriber that turns on our notifications on this channel this weekend. Now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? So for those of you guys that don't know, Nikola Jokic has officially been announced as the NBA MVP for the second year in a row. And there's some people that are very happy about this, but there's a decent amount of people that aren't as happy about this. So let's break this down. About a decade ago, if you asked anyone about what was the most important aspect of winning NBA MVP, it wouldn't be about an individual statistics. It wouldn't be about how important a player truly is to their team. Rather, it would be about what type of narrative that you could create about the player. When you go all the way back to Derrick Rose's MVP season, from a statistical standpoint, you can make a very legitimate argument that LeBron James deserved MVP that season. Hell, when you go back to Steve Nash's back-to-back MVPs or Dirk Nowitzki's lone MVP the year after, you can make a very reasonable argument that Kobe Bryant was the most prolific player during the latter of Nash's MVP season and during the season where Dirk Nowitzki won MVP. However, Dirk had the best team in the West that season, and he was the best player on the best team in the West, and Kobe Bryant wasn't really on a competitive team then, so that's a major reason why those players won MVP over Kobe Bryant. Now, in addition to this, there is another thing that you should keep in mind whenever a player wins MVP. If a player won MVP the year before, the chances of him winning MVP again are significantly diminished just due to voter exhaustion. So the odds of Nikola Jokic winning MVP for back-to-back seasons was already fairly slim. When you also consider the fact that the Denver Nuggets took a step back this season, of course they were dealing with injuries as well, going from a 3 seed during the end of the 2020 to 2021 season to a 6 seed this season, then you can make a reasonable argument that Joel Embiid deserved MVP. At the same exact time, when you consider that the number one narrative of this season, I don't think anyone is disagreeing with this, is the fact that Joel Embiid's co-star Ben Simmons did not want to play with him this year, and despite all that, Joel Embiid was incredibly prolific, averaging 31 points per game for 50% shooting an absurd 37% from 3, averaging a double-double, and averaging the second highest player efficiency rating in the entire NBA, then there is a very reasonable argument for Joel Embiid to win NBA MVP this season. When you also consider the fact that the Philadelphia 76ers are still in the hunt for potentially winning an NBA championship, then at the end of the day, you're pretty much comparing Nikola Jokic, who is going to take on a significant amount of more volume due to the fact that Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. weren't available all season long, then obviously you could see how this argument, at least statistically, could be skewed towards one direction over the other. And I feel like that's where the problem lies here. I feel like the NBA went backwards in this instance, because in the past, I feel like if this was 10 years ago, Joel Embiid would have won the MVP. Yeah, he is just a few points behind on player efficiency rating versus Nikola Jokic. Yeah, his value added is over 100 points points less than Nikola Jokic. And yeah, Nikola Jokic also added 4 more wins to his team this season, has a higher true shooting percentage, has a higher assist ratio, and has also played more games than Joel Embiid this season. At this point, however, I feel like they're so close to one another that I think you should go with the star player on the more competitive team that didn't win MVP last year. And I think in this instance, that's why I feel like this year's MVP choice was a little odd and unusual, because it hasn't been following the pattern that previous MVPs have won. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Nikola Jokic because he's one of my favorite players in the NBA. I'm actually very excited about the fact that the NBA MVP came down to 2 centers this year, a position that 3 years ago most NBA fans thought was on the cusp of death. I don't think Jokic beat Embiid by a significant margin. However, I could understand the statistical advantage that Jokic had over Embiid, and as a result, Nikola Jokic ended up winning NBA MVP. If it was up to me, I would have voted for Joel Embiid just simply because of how competitive the Philadelphia 76ers are, all the stuff that they had to go through over this season. In terms of who had the craziest narrative surrounding him all season long, it definitely was Joel Embiid in terms of who meant the most to his team. While you're currently seeing it in this year's NBA playoff series, in the semifinal series against the Miami Heat, the moment Joel Embiid returned, things started clicking for the Philadelphia 76ers. So I guess what I'm asking the NBA at this point is, what determines who truly wins NBA MVP? Is it a player that has the most prolific statistics? If you have prolific statistics on a team, that is for sure a first round exit that doesn't have complementary pieces that result in significantly more volume for its star player, and as a result will garner more statistics for said star player. Is that more valuable than a player that is vital to the success of his team, whose statistics aren't nearly as prolific, but is going to contribute to potentially winning, who's had to overcome significantly more in his career with respect to Nikola Jokic, who is currently playing with an injury that he should not be playing with? I don't know, because at the end of the day, I don't know what NBA MVP voters look for. All I could say is Nikola Jokic did deserve to win MVP from a statistical standpoint, but from a value to a team standpoint and a player that had a better storyline surrounding him all season long standpoint, I would say Joel Embiid deserved it because his statistics aren't that much worse than Nikola Jokic. As a matter of fact, when you compare Jokic to Embiid on a more basic level, Jokic is scoring less points but is grabbing significantly more rebounds and is also averaging more assists. But I am not denying it, he also does destroy Joel Embiid in every single advanced statistical category possible, and the numbers are not even close. I mean, from offensive box plus minus, where Nikola Jokic has a 9.2, to a total box plus minus of 13.7, which is absolutely obscene, to a 9.8 value over replacement player, to the fact that he also has 15.2 win shares. I mean, when you just compare Joel Embiid's advanced statistics to Jokic, it doesn't even come close. But the thing that's so tricky about NBA MVP voting is, how much do you lean on advanced statistics and analytics, and how much do you judge based off of the situation that each and every player is in? I don't think Jokic is going to win the MVP next year. Not that he doesn't deserve to have won MVP or anything like that, because at the end of the day, this man was absolutely prolific. He had crazy statistics, and I guess that's what voters wanted. But once Jamal Murray comes back and Michael Porter Jr. comes back, I don't expect Nikola Jokic to be putting up these types of statistics. And maybe he's going to alter his game so he could put the Denver Nuggets in a situation where they could finally win a championship. Needless to say, I think it's just really exciting that it came down to 2 centers this year. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think? Do you think Nikola Jokic deserved to win NBA MVP? Or do you think Joel Embiid should have won MVP? I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I just think it depends on what you value as a person that is voting for a player to win MVP. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.